Chapter 1. Wait, why am I the sidekick? When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was a patch of blinding blue sky and the faint silhouette of a bird circling lazily above. For a second I thought, oh good, I didn't oversleep. I can still get to work in time. Then I realized the ground beneath me was not my mattress, but hard, uneven dirt. The breeze didn't smell like city smog but grass and pine. And worst of all, Li Wei, you're finally awake? I thought you'd fainted again. I froze. That voice. I knew that voice. Slowly, like peeling off a bandage, I turned my head. Standing a few steps away was a tall young man in white robes, dark hair tied back with a jade clasp, a sword gleaming at his side. His posture was as straight as a pine tree. His face so flawlessly handsome it looked like it had been carved by some lovesick deity who got bored halfway and decided, why not make this one absurdly perfect? Zhou Yun, I croaked. He blinked, then frowned. Why do you sound like you've seen a ghost? Because I had. This wasn't a dream. This was a nightmare. Somehow, impossibly, I had woken up inside my own novel. And not as Zhou Yun, the brilliant, valiant hero destined to win glory and eternal love. Not as Chun Rui, the sweet love interest. Not even as Xin Qing, the gorgeous villain. No, fate had decided to screw me over in the worst way possible. I was Li Wei, the psychic best friend character. The guy who cracked bad jokes, tripped over his own feet, tagged along for comic relief, and then died in Chapter 10 to give the hero some tragic motivation. Wait, why am I the sidekick? I muttered, clutching my head. Sidekick? Zhou Yun tilted his head, concerned. Li Wei, are you feverish? Should I check your pulse? He crouched down, and before I could protest, his warm fingers wrapped around my wrist. His touch was steady, careful. His brows knitted slightly as he concentrated. This should have been comforting. Instead, it made my brain short-circuit. I wrote this man. I made him noble, righteous, endlessly loyal to his friends. And now he was touching me, his creator, as if I were some delicate thing about to break. I yanked my hand back like I'd been burned. I'm fine. Perfectly fine. Look at me. Healthy as a cabbage in spring. Zhou Yun stared at me. That's not a saying. I laughed a little too loudly. It is now. Inside, I was screaming. Okay, calm down. Think. This is fine. You just transmigrated into your own trash novel. No big deal. Happens all the time in web novels, right? People wake up in fantasy worlds, they get cheats, they become the protagonist. Except I wasn't the protagonist. I was the designated dead man walking. By Chapter 10, Li Wei was supposed to heroically sacrifice himself in a dungeon collapse, leaving Zhou Yun devastated but determined to fight harder. Readers were supposed to cry. Comments were supposed to say things like, Li Wei best bro, gone too soon. Me? Gone. Flattened under falling rocks. Shit. What? Zhou Yun asked sharply. Nothing. Just stubbed my toe. On air. I waved it off, backing away. Anyway, where are we? What's going on? Why is everything so realistic? Zhou Yun gave me a puzzled look but answered patiently. We're on the outskirts of Qinghe Forest. Don't you remember? We were traveling together to investigate the strange beast sightings reported by the villagers. Right. Plot line. Beast sightings. Early quest to establish Zhou Yun's heroism. And me? I was supposed to be his stress relief. As if on cue, when I tried to step back, my foot caught on a rock. I pitched forward, flailing, and landed right against Zhou Yun's chest. Oh no, the world went quiet. His arm instinctively came up, steadying me. My face was buried against silk that smelled faintly of sandalwood and something sharp, like steel. His heartbeat was firm against my ear. I could feel the heat rushing up my neck. Li Wei, are you all right? He asked softly, voice low and steady. I jerked back like I'd touched a hot stove. Yes, totally fine. I just, wanted to test your reflexes. And wow, amazing. 10 out of 10, truly hero-worthy. His lips curved just barely, the faintest smile. I immediately wanted to crawl into a hole and die. Why was he smiling at me like that? He was supposed to be falling for Chun Rue, not looking at me like I was some fragile kitten. No, 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 I muttered under my breath, pacing in a small circle. This isn't right. I can't be the center of attention. I need to stick to the script. Script says I'm the sidekick. Background decoration until chapter 10. That's survivable. I just have to stay funny. Not too funny. Stress relief level, not main character level. Right? Easy. Totally easy. Zhou Yun gave me the kind of look one reserves for lunatics. Li Wei, perhaps we should rest. You're acting unusual. Unusual? Me? No, this is peak normal. I tripped over the same rock again. And once again, Zhou Yun caught me before I could faceplant. I looked up into his absurdly perfect face. He was too close. Way too close. My breath caught. Blush. Spark. First dangerous crack in the script. I was doomed. Chapter 2. The villain isn't supposed to be hot. If there was one thing I knew for certain about my own novel, it was this. Shen Qing was not supposed to smile. Scowl? Yes. Glare? Absolutely. That signature, my sword is sharper than your future look? Definitely. But smile? With dimples and all? Absolutely not. Yet here he was, standing under the dappled shadows of Qinghe Forest, black robes trailing like spilled ink, hair loose down his back like he was auditioning for a shampoo commercial. His eyes, cold, cutting, dangerous, swept over the clearing, landed squarely on me, and softened. Softened. Li Wei, he said smoothly. His voice the kind of low drawl that belonged in late-night confessions, not murder scenes. So, we finally meet. I froze. My soul briefly left my body. This was bad. This was so bad. Because according to the plot I wrote, this was supposed to be Zhou Yun's moment. Hero meets villain for the first time. Steel clashes, sparks fly, ideological conflict begins. Readers were supposed to be clutching their chairs thinking, ah yes, the eternal struggle. Instead, Shen Qing was looking at me like I was the eternal struggle he wanted to drag into bed. Hi, I squeaked. Zhou Yun immediately stepped in front of me, drawing his sword with practiced grace. The sunlight caught on the blade, flashing brilliantly. Shen Qing, I won't let you harm innocent villagers. Yes, that was the line. Hero stuff. Perfect setup. This was exactly what I needed to shove the plot back on track. I peeked around Zhou Yun's shoulder, ready for Shen Qing to sneer something villainous like, naive fool, and launch an attack. Instead, Shen Qing's gaze slid right past Zhou Yun. Villagers? Couldn't care less. I came for Li Wei, he said absently, his lips curving. Excuse me? Zhou Yun stiffened. What business do you have with him? Shen Qing tilted his head. He's interesting. Interesting, I repeated, voice breaking. No, I'm not interesting. I'm aggressively average. I blend into backgrounds. I'm the human equivalent of boiled cabbage. Shen Qing chuckled, low and amused, like I just confessed to being his favorite flavor of wine. Boiled cabbage, Then perhaps I've developed a taste for it. Was he flirting with me? No, impossible. Villains don't flirt. They menace. They monologue. They don't lean in slightly, letting their hair brush their cheekbones like that, while their eyes glimmer with something unholy and distracting. I flailed for the nearest escape route. Well, you shouldn't, because Zhou Yun is the one you're supposed to be interested in. Li Wei, stop talking. Zhou Yun hissed under his breath, horrified. I mean, he's the hero, the righteous opponent you've been waiting for your whole life. Look at him. Sword. Justice aura. Handsome jawline. Isn't he exactly your type? Shen Qing's gaze flicked to Zhou Yun for exactly half a second. Then back to me. His lips quirked. Handsome, yes, but too stiff. Too self-righteous. I prefer someone who makes me smile. I nearly choked on my own spit. Smile? I'm not funny. Zhou Yun gave me a betrayed look. You crack jokes every 5 minutes. Those are survival mechanisms. I protested. Shen Qing stepped closer, boots whispering against the forest floor. Zhou Yun shifted protectively, blade raised. The tension crackled between them, hero versus villain. Except Shin-Ching didn't look remotely interested in fighting. He looked like a wolf circling a rabbit, except for some godforsaken reason, I was the rabbit. Stay back, Zhou Yun ordered coldly. Shin-Ching ignored him, his eyes never leaving mine. Tell me, Li Wei, do you always tremble when men look at you? Or is it just me? My brain short-circuited. I'm not trembling. I'm vibrating with survival instinct. Zhou Yun slashed his sword through the air in warning. If you don't step away. But Shin-Ching only laughed. A low, rich sound that curled around my spine in a way that should have been illegal. He lifted his hands casually, unarmed, as if to show he meant no harm. Relax, hero. I won't hurt him. Quite the opposite, in fact. The implication hit me like a brick to the face. Oh no. Oh no no no. This was it. This was the butterfly effect that was going to unravel the whole damn novel. Instead of obsessing over Zhou Yun, Shin-Ching had decided I was his new hobby. And I did not have a death wish. Listen, Shin-Ching, I said quickly, darting out from behind Zhou Yun before I could stop myself. You're making a mistake. I'm, just a side character. A background extra. I die in Chapter 10. Both men turned to look at me. Oops. Too much information. What? What are you talking about? Chapter 10. Zhou Yun demanded. Nothing. Nothing at all. Slip of the tongue. I meant, 10 out of 10. That's how scary you are. Shin-Ching. Truly terrifying. I laughed weakly. Shin-Ching's lips curved in amusement. Terrifying, am I? Yes. Exactly. Very evil, very scary. You should totally focus all that menace on Zhou Yun here, your true rival. Not me. I'm, allergic to villainous attention. Shin-Ching stepped even closer. His shadow fell across me. He leaned down slightly, his hair brushing my shoulder, his breath warm against my ear. Then I'll make sure to give you special attention, he whispered. My knees almost gave out. Why is the villain hot? I yelped, shoving him back. Zhou Yun immediately pulled me behind him again. Sword ready, eyes blazing. Shin-Ching, if you dare. Shin-Ching only smiled, hands tucked calmly into his sleeves now, as if he hadn't just destroyed the trajectory of my entire plot with one flirtatious line. Relax, hero. I'll see you both again soon. But next time, don't keep Li Wei so close. I'd like a little more room to talk to him, he said lazily. And with that, he melted back into the forest shadows, leaving behind silence, tension, and my rapidly deteriorating sanity. I clutched my head. Oh no, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. He's supposed to be obsessed with you, Zhou Yun. Not me. Not me. Zhou Yun's frown deepened, but his grip on my arm was steady, protective. Don't worry, I won't let him lay a hand on you, he said firmly. I stared at him, at his earnest eyes, at his gallant declaration. Then I screamed internally, because the plot wasn't just broken. It was on fire, careening down a cliff, and I was strapped to the front seat. Chapter 3. The love interest wants me. If my life had a theme song, right now it would be, oh no, everything is on fire, and somehow I'm the match. First, I tripped into Zhou Yun's arms and accidentally got blushy. Then Shin-Ching, literal nightmare villain, decided I was his new favorite chew toy. And now I had to deal with Chen Rui. Chen Rui, the precious, delicate, doe-eyed sweetheart of my novel. The one readers were supposed to adore. The one destined to bring out Zhou Yun's softer side and complete his hero's journey with a picture-perfect romance arc. Except the moment Chen Rui looked at me, I knew I was screwed. It happened at camp, 2 nights after the Shin-Ching incident. Zhou Yun had gone to fetch water. I was poking at the fire, praying for divine intervention. Chen Rui sat quietly across from me, his hands folded neatly in his lap. The flames painted his face in warm gold and shadows. He looked like the portrait of innocence. Shy smile, long lashes, posture so proper it made me slouch out of guilt. This was fine. This was safe. I could handle the love interest, right? Li Wei, he said suddenly, voice soft but steady. I jumped like he'd thrown a dagger. Yes. His lips curved faintly, like he was amused by my panic. You always seem cheerful. Cheerful. If only he knew. Inside, my brain was a burning circus tent. Yeah, that's me. Gotta keep the vibes up, you know? If I'm not joking, who will be? I rattled off too quickly. He tilted his head. But isn't it exhausting? That stopped me. The question was too genuine, too perceptive. I stared at him. Chun Rui looked back at me with wide, unguarded eyes, the kind that saw too much. His hands twisted slightly in his sleeves, nervous but determined. I fumbled, my throat suddenly dry. Well, someone has to do it. Better me than anyone else. He didn't look convinced. He leaned forward a little, voice lowering. You don't have to pretend around me. Pretend. The word hit harder than it should have. Pretending was my whole survival strategy. Pretend to be comic relief. Pretend not to know the plot. Pretend I wasn't marching toward Chapter 10's tombstone. I forced a grin. That's sweet of you, but I'm fine. Really. Strong as an ox. Cheerful. I don't want you to be cheerful, Chun Rui blurted out. The fire crackled. My grin faltered. What? His cheeks flushed pink, but he didn't look away. His eyes sparkled with something that was definitely not innocent anymore. I like you as you are, even when you're not joking, especially then. Danger. Danger. This was not in the script. I scrambled for the eject button. Thanks. But don't you mean Zhou Yun? You like Zhou Yun, right? Tall, heroic, cloud-like aura? That's your type, right? Right? Chun Rui's expression softened in a way that made my stomach flip. Zhou Yun is admirable, but... His gaze lingered on me, warm and intense all at once. He isn't you. My brain exploded. This was it. The absolute worst-case scenario. The love triangle, no, love polygon was fully formed. Chun Rui, sweet little bun, future romantic endgame, was staring at me like I'd hung the moon. I think you're confused. You don't like me. You like people who are noble and heroic. I'm just a sidekick. I can't even walk without falling. He smiled shyly, eyes glittering. Then I'll catch you. Cue internal screaming. I clutched my head, trying to shake sense into the universe. Why is everyone in love with me? Zhou Yun is right there. He's literally glowing with protagonist energy. Pick him, not me. But Chun Rui just inched closer, his knee brushing mine. My entire body went rigid. His voice dropped to a whisper. Li Wei. When you laugh, it makes me feel warm. When you smile at me, I want to keep you smiling forever. Oh no. Oh no. He was sparkling. His eyes were literally sparkling. I shot to my feet. I need air. Li Wei. Chun Rui looked up, startled. I waved my arms like a deranged windmill. Totally fine. Just going for a walk. Definitely not running away from increasingly dangerous romantic tension. I bolted into the night, branches whipping my face. My lungs burned. My heart pounded. Behind me, I thought I heard Chun Rui call my name, soft and pleading. I collapsed against a tree, wheezing. This is insane. Hero likes me. Villain likes me. Love interest likes me. Everyone likes me. I stared up at the sky, the stars mocking me with their twinkle. I've become the accidental protagonist of my own trash novel. The worst part? Some tiny, traitorous part of me didn't entirely hate it. Chapter 4, My Survival Plan. If there's one thing I learned after 3 chapters of this nightmare, it's that winging it doesn't work. I needed a system, a strategy, a plan so solid it could withstand hero blushes, villain flirts, and love interest sparkly stares. So that morning, while Zhou Yun was sharpening his sword, Chun Rui was brewing tea, and Xinqing was suspiciously lounging nearby like he owned the place, I scribbled in my notebook like a man possessed. Li Wei's 10-step survival plan. Push Zhou Yun and Chun Rui together at every opportunity. Avoid Xinqing like the plague. Keep jokes light-hearted, not heart-throbbing. Funny but not too funny. Never trip into Zhou Yun's arms again. Never make eye contact with Xinqing for longer than 3 seconds. Never let Chun Rui stare at me under the moonlight. Ever. Sit at the farthest corner of the table at meals. Distance is safety. If all else fails, fake an illness and stay home. Absolutely, under no circumstances, fall in love with anyone. Survive until chapter 11. I stared proudly at my masterpiece. Genius. Flawless. Bulletproof. Li Wei. I nearly ate the notebook out of shock. Xinqing was leaning against a tree, smirking like he'd been watching me this whole time. His hair caught the sunlight like some villainous shampoo ad. "What are you writing?" he asked. "Nothing. Just, doodles." I slammed the notebook shut. "Doodles?" His eyebrow arched. "Yes, my passion." He chuckled, low and amused. My stomach did somersaults. "Great. Step number 2, avoid Xinqing already failing. Don't let him bother you." Zhou Yun cut in, stepping between us like the human embodiment of a brick wall. His voice was clipped, his posture protective. "Li Wei doesn't need your interference." "Interference?" "I call it interest." Xinqing drawled, ignoring Zhou Yun completely. I squeaked and ducked behind my notebook. "Plan, Li Wei. Stick to the plan." That evening, the 4 of us ended up at an inn. A nice, normal dinner was all I wanted. Just food, no tension, no flirting, no accidental seductions. I strategically positioned myself at the far end of the table, wedged between a pillar and safety. Step number 7. Sit at the farthest corner. Nailed it. Or so I thought. "Li Wei," Zhou Yun said immediately, frowning at my choice. "Why are you sitting over there? Come here." He pulled out the seat beside him, as if it were obvious. I laughed nervously. "Oh no, I'm fine here. Great view." Before Zhou Yun could argue, Chun Rui stood up, cheeks pink but determination in his eyes. "Li Wei should sit next to me." He gently tugged the chair on his side. "He'll be more comfortable." I froze. Zhou Yun froze. The air thickened like soup. Then Xinqing, lounging with his chin propped on one hand, smiled. "You're both wrong. Obviously, Li Wei should sit next to me." He gestured lazily at the empty space beside him. "Unless, of course, you're both afraid." "Afraid?" Zhou Yun bristled. Chun Rui's hands tightened on the chair. "Li Wei belongs." He cut himself off, blushing furiously, then corrected. "Should be with someone gentle, not someone dangerous." His glare at Xinqing was downright icy. "Gentle? Oh? And you think you can protect him better than I can?" Xinqing's grin sharpened. "Better than you? A stupid villain?" "Yes." Chun Rui snapped, uncharacteristically fierce. "Villain?" Xinqing repeated, amused. "You wound me. I've been nothing but affectionate. Haven't I, Li Wei?" His eyes slid to me. My soul tried to eject from my body. I plead the 5th. Zhou Yun's jaw clenched. "Enough. He sits with me." "No. Me." Chun Rui's voice shook, but his conviction didn't. "You're both ridiculous," Xinqing said smoothly, standing at last. He moved toward me, every step deliberate. He clearly wants to be beside me. I raised both hands like a referee about to call off a wrestling match. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't musical chairs. It's dinner. I just want to eat noodles without being turned into a prize cow at an auction. They ignored me. Of course. The 3 of them squared off, tension so thick it could be sliced with Zhou Yun's sword. Their gazes clashed like swords already drawn. My survival plan crumpled like wet tissue paper. "Guys, please? Can't we just share the table like normal human beings?" I tried weakly. "No," all 3 said in unison. I banged my head against the pillar. Step number 7, total failure. Step number 1. Push Zhou Yun and Chun Rui together. Backfired into them glaring daggers at each other. Step number 2. Avoid Xinqing, obliterated. In fact, every single step had already collapsed. The only thing keeping me alive was sheer dumb luck and the fact that none of them had killed each other yet. As the innkeeper brought over steaming bowls of noodles, I slumped in my lonely corner, watching my so-called survival plan go up in smoke. I was doomed. Absolutely, irreversibly doomed. And the worst part? All three of them were still staring at me. Chapter 5: Dungeon of Too Much Touching. Let me say this up front. Dungeons are evil. Not in the sense of monsters and traps. No, dungeons are evil because they are designed specifically to ruin my carefully constructed, absolutely foolproof, no-touching rule. Case in point, the entrance. The tunnel was so narrow that we had to walk in single file. I tried to wedge myself somewhere safe in the middle, but Zhou Yun immediately said, "Li Wei should stay behind me." "Why?" I asked, already suspicious. "So I can protect you." His tone was firm, resolute, 100% hero. Before I could argue, Chun Rui's soft voice piped up. "Then I'll stay behind Li Wei, so he's safe on both sides." I turned my head slowly. "Like a sandwich?" Chun Rui flushed. "If that makes you feel safe, then yes." I wanted to cry. And then, like the cherry on top of my disaster sundae, Shin Qing sauntered past us all, his black robes brushing against me deliberately. "Why bother arguing? He can just stay with me," he drawled. "Absolutely not," Zhou Yun snapped. Your reflexes are good, but when he trips, and you'll be too busy playing hero to catch him. On the other hand, I'll make sure he never touches the ground," Shin Qing said. His gaze slid over me, slow and heated. I choked on air. "Excuse me. I don't trip that often." At that exact moment, my foot caught on a loose stone and I stumbled into Zhou Yun's back. "I hate this dungeon," I muttered. We made it maybe 5 minutes before the first trap triggered. The ground beneath me cracked, a jagged hole yawning open. I shrieked and flailed, arms pinwheeling. "Li Wei!" In a blur, Shin Qing scooped me up bridal style, leaping gracefully to solid ground while the floor behind us collapsed. His arm was firm around my back, his smirk insufferably smug. "See? Didn't I say I'd catch you?" he murmured, voice low near my ear. My brain short-circuited. I was being princess carried by the villain, who was very warm and smelled unfairly good. "Put me down," I shrieked, thrashing. Zhou Yun landed beside us, eyes blazing. "Unhand him," his sword practically hummed with righteous indignation. "Relax, hero. I'm only helping," Shin Qing said lazily, tightening his hold just to be obnoxious. "I'll help. Give him to me," Zhou Yun snapped, stepping forward. "Like he's baggage? You'll have to earn that privilege." Shin Qing's smile sharpened. Meanwhile, I was still dangling in Shin Qing's arms like an overgrown sack of rice. "Hello? I'm right here. Not baggage. Also, put me down before I combust from second-hand embarrassment." Shin Qing chuckled but finally set me on my feet. My knees wobbled. I staggered straight into Zhou Yun's chest. He caught me instantly, steadying me with strong hands. His jaw was tight, his eyes stormy. "Next time, don't leave my side." "I'm not your lost puppy," I protested, face flaming. Behind us, Chun Rui let out the faintest sigh. When I turned, he was staring at me with wide, sad eyes, his hands clenched together. "Rui?" I asked weakly. "I should have been faster," he murmured, almost too quiet to hear. His shoulders slumped. And just like that, I was trapped in a triangle of death. Villain smugness, hero possessiveness, and love interest sulking. All because of one stupid hole in the ground. The deeper we went, the worse it got. Tight corridors forced us shoulder to shoulder. Falling rocks had me shoved against Zhou Yun's chest one moment, then into Chun Rui's arms the next. Shin Qing, not to be outdone, casually lifted me over a pressure plate at one point, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. By the time we stumbled into the final chamber, I'd lost count of how many times I'd screamed, "Stop touching me!" The chamber was vast, lit by eerie blue crystals. At the center loomed a stone pedestal with a glowing orb. "Careful, there will be more traps," Zhou Yun warned, stepping forward. "Then perhaps Li Wei should stay back," Chen Rui said quickly, his hand brushing my sleeve protectively. "I can decide for myself," I snapped. The floor trembled. The orb flared. A wave of force knocked us all off our feet. I tumbled forward, bracing for impact, only to find myself once again cradled against someone's chest. This time it was Zhou Yun. His arms were firm, his heartbeat thunderous under my ear, his gaze locked on mine, intense, unyielding. "I told you, stay close to me." Before I could respond, Xinqing's dry voice cut in. "What, am I supposed to clap? You're not the only one who can catch him." Chen Rui's quiet voice followed, tight with emotion. "He doesn't need to fall at all. If only you both stopped fighting long enough to protect him properly." They glared at each other, sparks practically flying. And me? I buried my face in my hands. This dungeon isn't about monsters or treasure. It's about my dignity being repeatedly drop-kicked into the abyss. By the time we escaped, I was sweaty, exhausted, and emotionally traumatized. Zhou Yun hovered like a guard dog, Xinqing smirked like he'd just won a game, and Chen Rui walked silently beside me, glancing at me every few steps with puppy dog eyes. My grand takeaway from the day? Dungeon crawling was supposed to be about danger, teamwork, and plot progression. Instead, it had turned into a physical comedy routine where I was the unwilling main act. And the audience of 3 was enjoying it way too much. Chapter 6, Kisses That Weren't in the Script. There are many things an author expects when transmigrating into their own novel. Existential dread? Check. Trying not to die by chapter 10? Double check. Accidentally becoming the target of every single major character's affection? Regrettably, check. But kisses? 3 in 1 chapter. That was not in the outline. It started with Zhou Yun. We were camped in a quiet meadow after surviving that cursed dungeon. The fire crackled, the night was still, and I was busy writing step number 11. Absolutely no more physical contact in my notebook when Zhou Yun sat down beside me. "Li Wei," he said seriously, his tone the exact same one he used for battle strategy. I tensed. Yes." He studied me for a long moment, then said, "You're too careless. If an enemy tries to get close, you'll freeze. You need to practice." I blinked. Practice what? Before I could even finish asking, he leaned forward and pressed his lips against mine. My brain blue-screened. It wasn't long, barely a brush, chaste and precise. But my entire soul flew out of my body, screaming. Zhou Yun pulled back as calmly as if he'd just demonstrated a sword technique. "There. Now, if someone tries something like that again, you won't be caught off guard." I gaped. "That's not practice. That's. He frowned slightly. "You're flustered. This proves we should practice more." "More?" I scrambled back, waving my arms frantically. "Absolutely not. You can't just hero kiss people because you call it training." He tilted his head, genuinely puzzled. "But didn't it work?" I made a sound somewhere between a scream and a dying goose. I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. The next morning, as we packed up, Chen Rui tugged gently on my sleeve. His eyes were shy, his cheeks dusted pink, but his hands trembled with determination. "Li Wei," he whispered, glancing nervously at Zhou Yun and Xinqing, who were both distracted for once. I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped. "Wait, hold that thought. I've liked you for a while now. When you smile, when you tease me, when you risk yourself even when you're scared, it makes me want to stay by your side forever." He blurted, voice shaking but sincere. My jaw hit the ground. "Chen Rui, no. You're supposed to like Zhou Yun. That's literally your entire plotline." His blush deepened, but his gaze burned with quiet intensity. "I don't care about the plot. I care about you." And before I could stop him, he leaned forward and pressed a quick kiss to my cheek. Warm, soft, sweet. I shrieked. "Not you too." Zhou Yun immediately turned, sword half drawn. "What happened?" "Nothing. Absolutely nothing happened," I yelled, slapping my own cheek like I could erase the kiss. Chen Rui only ducked his head, but the small, proud smile tugging at his lips betrayed him completely. By afternoon, I was one nervous twitch away from cardiac arrest. My only hope was that Xinqing, at least, would not join this madness. He was the villain. He was supposed to brood and plot murder, not Li Wei. Zhou Yun shouted suddenly as the ground shook beneath us. A swarm of stone beasts erupted from the cliffs, eyes glowing red. I screamed and bolted, immediately tripping over rubble because of course I did. My ankle twisted, pain shot up my leg, and the next thing I knew, one of the monsters lunged straight at me. I braced for impact, but instead, strong arms swept me up and spun me out of harm's way. Shin-Ching. He held me close against his chest, his robes flaring, his sword flashing as he cut down the beast in one elegant stroke. The world slowed. Dust swirled around us like petals. His eyes locked on mine, dark, intense, glittering with triumph. And then, smirking, he dipped his head and kissed me full on the mouth. I nearly died. Not from the monster, from sheer mortification. It was not gentle. It was not chaste. It was the kind of kiss that screamed, mine. Bold, possessive, and utterly inappropriate. When he finally pulled back, his smirk widened at my stunned expression. See? Much more memorable than the hero's little practice. Don't you think? Zhou Yun froze mid-battle, his eyes going glacial. What did you just do? Chen Rui's face went crimson as he shouted. You can't just steal a kiss like that. Shin-Ching chuckled, adjusting his grip around me like he was taunting them. Why not? He didn't seem to mind. I mind. I mind very much. I screamed, pounding weakly at his chest. By the time the monsters were slain and I was finally set down, against my will, I might add, the three of them were circling each other like wolves ready to tear each other apart. Zhou Yun's sword was out. Chen Rui's hands trembled with fury. Shin-Ching was all infuriating calm, smugness radiating like cologne. And me? I was screaming in my head. Guys, this is not the story I wrote. There are supposed to be dramatic battles, tragic sacrifices, heroic romance arcs. Not a kissing competition with me as the prize. The real battle wasn't with monsters. It was with three dangerously attractive idiots who all wanted me. And I had no idea how to survive it. Chapter 7: Jealousy Wars. If there's one thing worse than three men kissing you in rapid succession, it's three men deciding to compete for your attention like you're the grand prize at a festival booth. Li Wei was not a prize. I was an innocent bystander, a humble side character, a man who wanted nothing more than to survive quietly and die of old age in a rocking chair, not in the middle of a battlefield, or worse, in the middle of a love triangle. Except this wasn't a triangle. This was a love octagon, with knives. The madness began with breakfast. I woke to the smell of roasted meat and fresh herbs. Zhou Yun was crouched over the campfire, brow furrowed in concentration as he flipped slices of rabbit on a makeshift grill. When he saw me stir, his face softened instantly. Li Wei, you're awake. Sit. I prepared this for you. Before I could say thanks, Chen Rui appeared at my side holding a steaming clay pot. Wait, try mine first. It's porridge. Gentle on the stomach. You've been stressed. His voice faltered at the end, but his eyes were steady, hopeful. I blinked between the two bowls now thrust toward my face. And then Shin-Ching strolled over, robes immaculate as always, carrying a lacquered box. He set it down with a flourish, opened it, and revealed an array of delicate pastries dusted with sugar. Unlike the others, I have standards, rabbit and porridge? How pedestrian. A man like Li Wei deserves something sweeter. I stared at the three of them. Rabbit, porridge, pastries, all for me. What is this, a buffet? I groaned. No, this is me taking responsibility for him, Zhou Yun said firmly, glaring at Shin-Ching. Shin-Ching smirked. Funny. Looks like you're trying to feed a soldier, not someone you claim to care about. Chen Rui hugged his pot closer to his chest, whispering fiercely, he doesn't need heavy or fancy food. He needs comfort. The air crackled with tension. Me? I stuffed a pastry in my mouth to avoid answering and nearly choked on powdered sugar. Later, Zhou Yun handed me a carefully sharpened dagger. For protection, balanced, sturdy. I made adjustments to suit your grip. Wow, I said, staring at the polished blade. This is actually really useful. Before I could admire it too much, Chen Rui shyly held out a small pouch of herbs. These are for injuries. I dried them myself. They'll help with bruises. Or if you trip again. His cheeks turned pink. Thanks, Rui. Qing, of course, was not to be outdone. He flicked his sleeve and produced a jade pendant carved into an intricate phoenix. For luck, he said, fastening it around my neck before I could protest. His fingers brushed my collarbone deliberately, sending shivers down my spine. And so everyone knows you're already claimed. I spluttered. Claimed? I'm not a lost puppy. Zhou Yun's jaw tightened. Chen Rui's eyes went shiny with unshed tears. Qing just smiled like a cat who'd stolen the cream. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. By evening, the real disaster struck. We'd found a clearing to rest in. Zhou Yun, perhaps fueled by his hero sense of drama, suddenly turned to Chen Rui and said, "You're too careless with your sword. If you want to protect Li Wei, you need to be stronger." Chen Rui bristled. "I can protect him. Don't look down on me just because you're taller." Before I could shout time out, Qing unsheathed his blade with a smirk. "If we're measuring strength, why don't we settle it properly? Winner gets to sit beside Li Wei at dinner." "And oh, one is winning me," I yelped. Too late. The next thing I knew, Zhou Yun and Qing were sparring like thunder and lightning, steel clashing under the fading sunlight. Chen Rui, desperate to prove himself, jumped in with unsteady determination, nearly taking off my sleeve with a wild swing. I leapt behind a tree. "Are you all insane? This isn't a prize fight. I'm not a chicken drumstick." None of them listened. The duel went on, sparks flying, sweat glistening, muscles flexing. If this had been a novel I was reading, I might have swooned. Living it, however, I was one heartbeat away from cardiac arrest. Finally, Zhou Yun disarmed Chen Rui with a flick of his wrist, only to be forced back by Qing's swift counter. The clash ended in a tense draw, the three of them breathing hard, eyes still locked in challenge. And me? I was crouched on the ground with my head in my hands. "I'm surrounded by lunatics," I muttered. The worst part, as I peeked through my fingers and saw them, all three of them, standing tall, flushed, and glaring fiercely for my sake, my treacherous heart skipped a beat. I told myself I hated the attention, that it was exhausting, humiliating, and dangerous. But a tiny, traitorous part of me whispered, maybe it wasn't so bad. Chapter 8: Bandits, Bickering, and Bed Sharing. At this point, I've accepted that the universe is conspiring against me. Bandits, dungeons, monsters, fine. That's standard adventurer fare. But add 3 love-struck maniacs into the mix and suddenly every situation becomes a live-action dating sim with me as the unwilling protagonist. Take today, for example. We were walking along a quiet dirt road, the kind lined with tall grass and the occasional chirping cricket. For 5 whole minutes, I allowed myself the dangerous luxury of believing it might be a peaceful day. Then, predictably, men with knives leapt out from the bushes. "Your money or your lives?" the bandit leader snarled. I sighed. "Really? Can't we go one day without?" Before I could finish, Zhou Yun was already in front of me, sword drawn, his stance radiating righteous fury. "You dare threaten him?" His voice cracked like thunder. Qing appeared at my other side, twirling his blade with casual grace. I was getting bored. Try not to die too quickly. And Chen Rui? He was right behind me, tugging my arm gently. "Stay close, please." His eyes were wide, trembling but determined. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Guys, they're just regular bandits. Can we not turn this into a competition?" Too late. Zhou Yun surged forward, striking like lightning, his sword cutting arcs of silver light. Qing matched him blow for blow, only instead of bandits, his real target seemed to be Zhou Yun's pride. Every slash was followed by a smirk thrown my way. Meanwhile, poor Chen Rui was trying desperately to keep me shielded, which meant I was basically hugging his back like a terrified koala while the other two flexed their egos. Within minutes, the bandits were on the ground groaning, either unconscious or wishing they were. I clapped. "Congratulations. You've successfully turned a robbery into a testosterone showcase. Qing wiped his blade, smiling lazily. Admit it, Li Wei. You liked watching. I did not. Zhou Yun sheathed his sword with a scowl. He was clearly uncomfortable. Chen Rui, still holding my sleeve, whispered softly, I didn't mind protecting you. I wanted to bash my head against a tree. After that circus, we limped into the nearest town, battered, dusty, and very much in need of rest. I marched straight to the encounter, slammed my hands down, and begged, please tell me you have 4 separate rooms. Or at least 3. Or 2. Hell, I'll sleep in the stables. The innkeeper gave me a sympathetic look. Sorry, traveler. Only 1 room left. My soul left my body. Behind me, 3 pairs of eyes lit up with the exact same thought. Nope, absolutely not, I said instantly, but 5 minutes later, I was standing in the doorway of a small, cozy room with 1 bed big enough for maybe 2 people if they squeezed. 4? Not a chance. I turned to leave. I'll take the floor. Zhou Yun blocked me. You're injured from earlier. You're not sleeping on the ground. Chen Rui shook his head violently. Your health matters most. I'll take the floor instead. Qing stretched out on the bed, smirking. Or we could all share. Unless you're afraid you won't be able to resist me. Get off the bed, I shrieked. Somehow, by sheer force of will and threats to burn Qing's robe collection, we arranged ourselves. Zhou Yun on my left, Chen Rui on my right, and Qing grudgingly on the far edge after I swore I'd bite him if he tried anything. The bed creaked under the weight of 4 people. Heat radiated from every direction. I lay stiff as a board, eyes wide open, regretting every life choice that led me here. Zhou Yun shifted slightly, his voice low. Li Wei, are you comfortable? No. I feel like a dumpling in a steamer basket. Chen Rui tugged the blanket up gently, tucking it around me. His breath tickled my ear. At least you're warm, I squeaked. Qing chuckled from the other side. If you're too warm, you can always throw off the blanket. Or clothes. Qing, I shouted, nearly rolling off the bed in mortification. Zhou Yun instantly grabbed me, pulling me back into his chest. Careful. I won't let you fall. Chen Rui immediately pressed closer, glaring over me at Zhou Yun. Don't hold him so tightly. He'll be uncomfortable. Qing sighed happily. This is the best sleep I've had in months. Me? I buried my face in the pillow, silently screaming. At some point in the night, exhaustion dragged me under. When I woke briefly, half dreaming, I realized Zhou Yun's arm was draped firmly around my waist. Chen Rui's hand was clasping mine, and Qing's leg was tangled with mine like we were in some absurd cuddle pile. For a heartbeat, instead of panic, I felt safe, warm, wanted. Then I bolted up. Chapter 9, Love potions are the worst. There are many things you should never do in a fantasy world. Step on glowing runes. Touch ominous artifacts. Say, at least it can't get worse. And above all else, never drink anything Qing brews. It all started innocently enough. We were holed up in an abandoned temple, licking our wounds after the bandit fiasco. Qing, apparently inspired, pulled out a set of glass vials and a mortar and pestle from his bottomless sleeves. What's that? I asked suspiciously, inching away. He smirked. A potion. It will cloud the minds of enemies, make them pliable. Useful when brute force fails. I squinted. And we're supposed to trust this because? Because I made it, he said smoothly, grinding herbs into a glowing paste. Unless you'd rather fight every battle with your face. I scowled. My face is very effective, thank you. Still, curiosity gnawed at me. The potion shimmered an alluring pink, bubbling faintly in the vial. It smelled faintly of roses and honey, almost drinkable. And then fate, that cruel mistress, struck. While Qing turned to smirk at Zhou Yun, and Chen Rui fussed over cleaning my sleeve, my clumsy elbow knocked the vial right off the table. Wait! Qing snapped, reaching too late. Splash! Straight into my mouth. I froze. The world slowed. The taste was sweet, fizzy, oddly addictive. Shen Qing's eyes widened. Zhou Yun lunged forward. Chen Rui gasped. And me? I swallowed, licked my lips, blinked at them, then smiled. A slow, lazy, dangerous smile. It hit me like wine, warm and heady, stripping away all filters between brain and mouth. Suddenly, everyone looked unfairly attractive. I sauntered up to Zhou Yun first, leaning into his personal space. You know, you're even prettier up close. Has anyone ever told you your eyes sparkle when you brood? Zhou Yun choked. His ears turned crimson. Li Wei, what are you saying? I poked his chest, feeling the hard muscle beneath. Wow, solid. Do you train shirtless? Can I watch sometime? Absolutely not, he barked, practically stumbling backward. Next target, poor Chen Rui. He squeaked as I draped myself over his shoulders, resting my chin on his head. Rui, you're so cute, like a bunny. My bunny. His entire body stiffened. His face went from pale to scarlet in a heartbeat. I. Don't deny it. I could just eat you up, I whispered, leaning close. And then, without hesitation, I planted a sloppy kiss on his cheek. Chen Rui made a sound like a kettle exploding and covered his face with both hands, trembling. Why does he get one? Zhou Yun snapped, glaring. Do you want one too? I asked sweetly, batting my lashes. He nearly swallowed his own tongue. And then Shen Qing, the source of all this misery, had the audacity to look amused. Interesting, my potion was meant for enemies. Yet it reveals your truest desires. How very entertaining. I swaggered up to him, grabbed his collar, and yanked him down to my height. Entertaining? You're not off the hook either, villain. You've been staring at me like a snack for days. His smirk faltered. I don't stare. Yes, you do, and now. I kissed him. Not on the cheek, not a brush. A full, scandalous kiss right on his mouth. Bold. Shameless. The room went silent except for the pounding of 3 heartbeats. When I pulled back, Shen Qing's eyes were wide. His usual composure cracked. Then, slowly, dangerously, his smirk returned. Seems you're finally honest with yourself. Zhou Yun drew his sword. Honest. He's drugged. Chen Rui whimpered behind his hands, peeking through his fingers with watery eyes. I spun on my heel, arms flung wide. Gentlemen, I declared dramatically. You are all extremely kissable, and it's honestly unfair. But don't worry. There's enough leeway to go around. And then I promptly tripped over a broken tile and face-planted. When I came to my senses, after several cups of cold water thrown in my face, the potion's effect had worn off. I sat in the middle of the temple, dripping wet, surrounded by 3 men who looked like they'd aged 10 years in an hour. Zhou Yun's arms were crossed so tightly his knuckles were white. Chen Rui's face was still bright red, his eyes darting anywhere but me. Shen Qing was watching me with a gaze that promised future blackmail. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. Why me? Why always me? No one answered. But I knew the truth. Love potions are the worst. Chapter 10, Festival of Lovers. There are a lot of things no transmigrated author should ever do. Number 1. Step foot into a city celebrating something called the Festival of Lovers. But did anyone listen to me? Of course not. We arrived just before dusk, the streets already glowing with lanterns shaped like hearts and flowers. Silk banners fluttered overhead. Perfumed air carried the scent of roasted chestnuts and candied plums, and couples strolled hand in hand like it was mandatory. I tugged my hood low. Okay, listen. Rule of survival. Do not, under any circumstances, stand out. Shen Qing smirked, already drawing stares with his brocade robe. Too late. Chen Rui clutched my sleeve like a lifeline. Li Wei, shouldn't we blend in? Zhou Yun surveyed the crowd with that noble, heroic glare of his. If blending in means protecting you, then fine. But I will not leave your side. I groaned. That's the opposite of blending in. That's like walking around with a sign that says, I'm the hero. Please notice me. We didn't get 10 steps before disaster struck. Welcome, welcome. Couple lottery. Draw a ticket. Win a prize for your beloved. A cheerful vendor blocked our path, waving slips of paper. Pass? I muttered, shoving my hands into my sleeves. But Zhou Yun had already drawn one. His prize. A delicate hairpin carved like a phoenix. He turned and, before I could dodge, tucked it into my hair with surprising gentleness. He's not. I began. But then Chen Rui stepped forward, panicked, drew his own ticket, and won a silk ribbon. He tied it carefully around my wrist, hands trembling. Now we match, he whispered. Xin Qing, not to be outdone, plucked a rose straight from a passing cart, ignoring the angry vendor, and tucked it behind my ear. Why waste time with raffles when I can give you the most beautiful flower immediately? I wanted to dig a hole in the cobblestones and disappear. And that was only the beginning. Everywhere we went, there was another festival activity for couples. A calligrapher invited us to write love wishes on lanterns. Somehow, I ended up writing one with each of them. Zhou Yun's lantern bore the words protection until the end. Chen Rui's said never part. Xin Qing's simply read mine. Then came the ring toss booth. Supposedly, if you land a ring on the heart-shaped peg, it ensures eternal love. Zhou Yun nailed it on the first throw, of course. He immediately turned, pressing the wooden ring into my palm. This belongs to you. Chen Rui tried next, missing twice before succeeding. He didn't say a word, just blushed furiously and pressed his forehead against my shoulder. Xin Qing? He tossed all his rings at once, landing every single one with dramatic flair. Seems fate has spoken. He blew me a kiss. The onlookers clapped. I considered jumping into the nearest canal. By evening, I thought maybe, just maybe, I could escape. I slipped away during a crowded parade, ducking into a quiet alley. I'll just hide here until the festival ends. No more games. No more confessions. No more. I whispered to myself. Li Wei. Zhou Yun's voice behind me. I spun around. He stood at the alley's mouth, lantern light gilding his features. Don't run. Before I could protest, Chen Rui appeared on my left, clutching a small paper bag. I brought you candied plums. I thought you'd like them. And then, of course, Xin Qing strolled in from the other side, smug as ever. Did you really think you could slip away from 3 men who can't take their eyes off you? Trapped. I was trapped. The fireworks started then. The first boom split the night, petals of crimson and gold unfurling across the sky. Crowds gathered in the square, and somehow I was shoved right into the center with all 3 of them. And then it happened. Zhou Yun grasped my hand, firm and unyielding. Li Wei, I fought demons and armies, but the thought of losing you terrifies me more. Stay by my side. Before I could reply, Chen Rui blurted, I love you. I don't care about destiny. I only want you. His voice cracked, but his eyes shone with desperate sincerity. And Xin Qing, because he never misses an opportunity, leaned close, lips brushing my ear. Forget destiny. Forget heroes. Be mine openly. I won't let anyone else have you. The square went silent. And then applause. Cheers. The entire crowd, strangers upon strangers, clapping and hooting like they'd just witnessed the grand finale of a romance play. Confess. Confess. Someone shouted. Pick one. Another yelled. I wanted to melt into the ground. My face was hotter than the fireworks overhead. How can I pick one? I had never wanted to be less noticed in my entire transmigrated life. And that's how, under a sky of exploding stars, with a city full of strangers cheering like I was some prize, I got triple confessed to in public. No escape. No denials. Just 3 men, a festival of lovers, and me, the world's most unwilling romantic lead. Heaven help me. Chapter 11, The Fake Breakup Plan. There comes a point in every transmigrated author's life when you have to admit you've completely lost control of your own plot. For me, that point was getting triple confessed to under a sky full of fireworks while an entire city applauded like I just won a beauty contest. That was it. Rock bottom. If I didn't do something soon, the novel's timeline would unravel faster than Chen Rui's self-control around sweets. So I made a decision. A stupid one, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I was going to fake a breakup. The plan was simple. Slip away before dawn, leave a vague note, and let the hero, villain, and love interest get back to their original destinies. Zhou Yun was supposed to marry Chen Rui. Qing was supposed to, well, die tragically, but that wasn't my problem right now. The point was, none of them were supposed to fall for me, so I packed my bag in silence. Bread, dried meat, 2 flasks of water. Scribbled note. Sorry, I can't be what you want. Please live well. Don't look for me. I even added a doodle of a sad face for dramatic effect. Then, with the stealth of a guilty cat, I slipped out the inn window. For 3 glorious hours, I thought I'd succeeded. I trudged down country roads, congratulating myself. See? This is fine. They'll be upset, but eventually, they'll thank me. I'm saving the story. I'm saving myself. I'm Li Wei. I froze. That voice. Calm, authoritative, carrying enough weight to command armies. Zhou Yun. I turned slowly, and there he was, standing on the rooftop of a farmhouse, cloak whipping in the wind, eyes blazing. How the hell did you? I sputtered. He jumped down, landing perfectly in front of me, sword gleaming. Did you truly think I wouldn't notice your absence? You left a note. That was the point. You were supposed to read it and move on. I cried. He stepped closer, gaze burning. Move on? From you? Impossible. I backed up. Okay, first of all, that's unhealthy. Second, personal space. Too late. He grabbed my wrist, firm and unyielding. I'll never let you walk away. Great. 1 down, 2 more disasters incoming. Sure enough, the next ambush came at the city gates. A group of guards barred my way. Sir, we can't let you pass without authorization. I sighed. Look, I'm not trying to smuggle contraband, just my broken heart. Then the captain coughed awkwardly and held up a pouch so stuffed with silver it jingled like a wind chime. Orders from Lord Qing. We're to detain you gently. I buried my face in my hands. He bribed the guards? Of course he bribed the guards. And sure enough, Qing appeared moments later, striding down the road like he owned it. Which, given the jingling guards, he apparently did. My runaway little sweetheart, did you really think I'd let you slip away? I invested far too much to lose you now. He purred, grabbing my chin. This isn't a stock market. I'm not an asset. I yelped, smacking his hand. On the contrary, you're priceless. He murmured. I groaned. Kill me now. But the final blow, the true finishing move, came from Chen Rui. I thought maybe he was the one I could outrun. Sweet, shy Chen Rui. Surely he'd accept the note and sniffle quietly into his pillow. Oh, how naive I was. Because the next thing I knew, I turned a corner and found him standing there, eyes red, clutching my crumpled note to his chest. Tears streamed down his face. Li Wei, how could you leave me? Wasn't I good enough? His voice cracked. Oh no, the dramatic crying scene. My greatest weakness. No, Rui, you don't understand. He lunged forward, grabbing both my hands, tears dripping onto my knuckles. I'll do better. I'll fight harder. Just don't throw me away. I'm not throwing you. I tried. But then he straight up sank to his knees in the mud, clutching me like a tragic opera hero. The crowd that had gathered around us gasped. Someone even muttered, "Poor boy, abandoned by his lover." He's not. We're not. I stammered, but it was too late. Zhou Yun was glaring at Qing. Qing was smirking at Zhou Yun, and Chen Rui was crying on my boots. It was a disaster. Public disaster. By nightfall, I was back in the inn, somehow corralled by all 3 of them like a kidnapped princess. Zhou Yun sat on one side of me, arms crossed, radiating righteous anger. Chen Rui clung to my sleeve like a koala, eyes still red. Qing lounged nearby, sipping wine like he was watching the finest play of the season. I wanted to scream, or laugh, or both. So much for the fake breakup plan, I muttered under my breath. Instead of cooling off, they were closer than ever, glaring daggers at each other, but united in one terrifying truth. None of them were letting me go. And me? I was starting to suspect my biggest enemy wasn't fate, wasn't destiny, wasn't even the plot of my stupid novel. It was love. Really, really inconvenient love. Chapter 12, Kidnapped, but make it romantic. In my defense, I didn't try to get kidnapped. All I did was wander outside the inn for a late-night snack, because apparently being the unwilling love interest of 3 handsome maniacs doesn't stop a man from craving dumplings. Next thing I knew, a sack was thrown over my head, a rope tied around my arms, and I was tossed into a carriage like last week's laundry. So there I was, bumping along the road, muffled inside scratchy burlap, thinking, fantastic. Not only am I comic relief, I'm also the designated damsel in distress now. My kidnappers, judging by their dramatic laughter and constant gloating, belong to a rival faction. He'll fetch a fine ransom, one sneered. Or we can use him as leverage against the so-called hero, another chuckled. Great, reduced to bargaining chip status. My author pride was weeping. But you know what was worse? I could already hear the sound of impending disaster. 3 furious men storming after me. Sure enough, the rescue arrived in record time. I was tied to a chair in some dingy warehouse when the door slammed open with the force of divine judgment. Release him! Zhou Yun's voice rang out, sharp as steel. Xin Qing strolled in behind him, lazy as always, but his smile was dangerous enough to curdle blood. Gentlemen, I suggest you return what doesn't belong to you. And poor Chun Rue, panting but determined, brandished his sword with trembling hands. Let Li Wei go or else. The kidnappers blinked. Then one muttered, Is that 3 different suitors? Shut up, I yelled from my chair. Chaos erupted. Zhou Yun charged first, sword flashing in arcs of silver, cutting through ropes and weapons alike. Xin Qing, naturally, fought with poisonous needles and sharp words, taking down enemies while smirking at Zhou Yun. A little sloppy, don't you think? If I wanted him dead, you'd never have reached him in time. You dare say such things while he's tied up? Zhou Yun roared. Meanwhile, Chun Rue, well, he tried his best. He wasn't as skilled, but his determination made him dangerous. Don't touch him, he shouted, swinging wildly at anyone who came too close. All the while they bickered. You're blocking my path. Your stance is weak. At least I didn't pay my enemies to pretend to struggle. Excuse me? And me? I sat there, still tied to a chair, watching 3 gorgeous men fight over me like I was the last dumpling at a banquet. Guys? Hello? The person you're trying to save is still tied up here. No one listened. Finally, I got so fed up that I tipped my chair over and rolled across the floor like a turtle until Xin Qing sighed, cut the ropes with a flick of his dagger, and hauled me upright. There, safe and sound. He purred, brushing dust from my shoulder. Zhou Yun instantly yanked me away from him. Don't touch him. Chun Rue clung to my sleeve, glaring up through tear-bright eyes. He's mine to protect. I wanted to scream. By the time the last kidnapper fled, the warehouse looked like a battlefield. Broken crates, unconscious bodies, lanterns flickering. And me, standing in the middle, surrounded on all sides. Zhou Yun's grip on my hand was unbreakable. Chun Rue's trembling but firm hold on my sleeve was unrelenting. Xin Qing's shadow lingered at my back, heat and danger in every step. And that's when it hit me. I didn't want to choose, because how could I? Zhou Yun's steadfast devotion, Chun Rue's aching sincerity, Xin Qing's shameless obsession. All of it was suffocating, overwhelming, terrifying. And yet, somewhere deep inside, it was also warm, comforting, addictive. 3 completely different kinds of love, and somehow they were all directed at me. Maybe that was the real problem. Not that they loved me, but that I didn't want to lose any of them. Of course, I wasn't about to say that out loud. Not when they were staring at me like wolves around a cornered rabbit. So I cleared my throat and said the only thing my panicked brain could supply. Can we go back to the inn now? I'm starving. They exchanged glares, but for once, they didn't argue. Instead, all 3 of them guided me out together, their hands brushing against mine, shoulders pressing too close, hearts thundering louder than the battlefield we'd left behind. And me? I realized I was doomed. Utterly, romantically doomed. Chapter 13, Accidental Love Confession Circle. Let me be clear. I never intended to create a group confession circle. In fact, the plan was the opposite. After the kidnapping fiasco, things had gotten tense. Zhou Yun hovered like a bodyguard with abandonment issues. Shen Qing watched me with the intensity of a cat about to pounce. Chun Rui clung to me like I was his last lifeline. It was too much, so I decided to pull each of them aside, talk calmly, and set boundaries. Simple, right? First, I cornered Zhou Yun. We sat in the courtyard, moonlight turning his noble face into something straight out of a painting. I fiddled with my sleeves nervously. Zhou Yun, listen, you're a hero, the protagonist. You have bigger things to worry about than me. I began. He stared, expression unreadable. What could be more important than you? My brain short-circuited. I mean the kingdom, the battles, the destiny thing. I don't care about destiny, Li Wei. I care about you, he said firmly, leaning closer. Cue my panic. Right, cool, thanks, got to go. I blurted, bolting before my ears combusted. Next, I found Chun Rui in the kitchen, fiddling with tea. Rui, you're sweet, but you don't have to, I said gently. I love you, even if I was meant to be with Zhou Yun. I don't want him. I only want you. He interrupted, voice trembling but determined. I froze mid-sip of tea. That's a very straightforward. His eyes watered. Is it wrong? No. Yes. Oh no, he's crying again. I shoved a dumpling into his mouth to shut him up, then fled. Finally, Xin Qing. I caught him lounging in the study, flipping through a scroll like he owned the place. Listen, Xin Qing, this obsession thing you're doing, it's unhealthy. You need to focus on your villain career. He arched a brow. Villain career? You know, scheming, brooding, terrifying people. Not flirting with me. He smirked, rising to his feet. And yet, all I want is you. Admit it, you enjoy it. I opened my mouth to deny it, but then he leaned in, breath ghosting my ear. Say you don't. I squeaked. Bathroom break, and ran again. Here's where the universe decided to ruin me. I rushed into the guest room to catch my breath, only to find Zhou Yun already there, waiting. Then Chun Rui walked in, holding the plate of dumplings. And then Xin Qing sauntered in, shutting the door behind him. We all froze. Oh no, I whispered. What are you doing here? Zhou Yun demanded, glaring at Xin Qing. I could ask the same, Xin Qing replied smoothly. Chun Rui clutched the dumplings like a shield. I just wanted to feed him. The tension crackled like lightning. I laughed nervously. Funny story. I was just trying to talk to you all separately. Why separately? Zhou Yun pressed. Because he's afraid to admit he loves me, Xin Qing said, smirking. Liar. He loves me. Chun Rui burst out. I never said. I yelped, but Zhou Yun cut me off, voice firm and low. Then let's be honest. I love him too. Silence. Absolute, deafening silence. Then, like dominoes, it all fell apart. I confessed already, Chun Rui wailed. You think that counts? I've risked everything for him, Xin Qing snapped. Stop arguing, or I'll settle this with my sword. Zhou Yun growled. Meanwhile, I stood in the middle, clutching my head. Wait. This wasn't supposed to happen. And then the absurd climax. All three of them turned to me at once, voices overlapping. Li Wei, choose me. Be mine. I won't let anyone else have you. The room spun. My heart raced. And despite the panic, despite the chaos, one treacherous thought bubbled up. I don't want to choose. Because how could I? Zhou Yun's devotion, Chun Rui's earnest love, Xin Qing's shameless obsession. Each one tangled around my heart like vines. Impossible to untangle. For the first time, I saw it clearly. Maybe the problem wasn't that three men loved me. Maybe the problem was, I loved them back. Of course, I didn't say that. I'm not that brave. Instead, I threw the dumpling plate into the air like a smoke bomb and yelled, "Who wants snacks?" and ran away. Later, I slunk into the corner, clutching my chest, wondering how on earth I turned my own tragic novel into the world's most ridiculous making no sense love polygon. Chapter 14, The Boss Battle of Love. You know what's worse than writing a terrible novel? Being inside the terrible novel, realizing your carefully scripted final boss is 10 times scarier in person, and also realizing you're supposed to help fight him? Yeah. That's my life now. It started with the ground shaking. We stood on the edge of the ruined temple, moonlight spilling across broken pillars and twisted vines. I recognized the setting instantly. Chapter 28. The Big Bad Reveal. Except, I hadn't made it this far in the original plot before I transmigrated. I'd only outlined it, which meant I barely knew what was coming. Great. Zhou Yun drew his sword, steady and strong, the very picture of a heroic protagonist. "Stay behind me, Li Wei." Shun Qing scoffed, swirling dark energy in his palm. "Please, if anyone should guard him, it's me." Chun Rui fumbled with his staff, eyes wide. We should all protect him." I clutched my head. "Hello? Maybe I should protect myself." No one listened. Typical. And then he appeared. The real villain. Not Shin Qing. Not the fake-out antagonist I'd written as the edgy bad boy. No, this was the true mastermind. Lord Xie, a warlock in tattered robes, face hidden behind a jagged mask, eyes glowing like fire. The fight erupted instantly. Zhou Yun lunged forward, blade flashing silver. Shun Qing countered the shadows with blasts of dark fire, smirking even in battle. Chun Rui shouted a shaky spell, throwing up barriers that glowed like sunlight. And me? I ducked, and screamed, and threw a rock. Don't laugh, it was a good rock. But as the chaos unfolded, something amazing happened. They weren't just fighting separately anymore. They were fighting together. When Zhou Yun's sword was caught in vines, Chun Rui's light sliced them away. When Chun Rui faltered, Shin Qing actually steadied him with a sharp, "Don't you dare fall." And when Shin Qing overextended, Zhou Yun covered his back without hesitation. They were trusting each other. For me, for the first time, I wasn't just watching characters in a book. I was watching people who cared, and it made my chest ache. But Lord Xie wasn't easy. He summoned a storm of shadows, knocking all three back. I staggered as the ground split beneath me. "Li Wei!" Zhou Yun shouted, reaching for me, but a shadow whip lashed out, dragging me toward the abyss. I screamed, "I don't want to die in my own novel." Before I could vanish, 3 hands grabbed me at once. Zhou Yun's callous grip, Shun Qing's cool fingers, Chun Rui's trembling hold. Together, they pulled me back. I landed in their arms, coughing, heart hammering. "You guys! Don't scare me like that," Zhou Yun growled. "I'll kill him for touching you," Shin Qing spat. You're safe," Chun Rui whispered, voice breaking. I blinked up at them, dazed. You really mean it, huh? It's not just obsession or destiny." Their eyes burned with the same answer, even if their words clashed. "Yes, of course. Always." And somehow I knew they weren't lying. Fueled by that, they rose again. Together. "Li Wei, trust us." Zhou Yun said firmly. I do," I whispered, and I meant it. They charged as one. Zhou Yun's sword gleamed with Chun Rui's light magic. Shin Qing's flames licked along the blade, fusing dark and bright. Chun Rui chanted, strengthening them both, while I, useless me, cheered from the sidelines. "Go team! Beat my villain!" They clashed with Lord Xie in a storm of fire, steel, and magic. Shadows shrieked, stone crumbled, light flared, and finally, Zhou Yun's blade pierced the warlock's mask. Lord Xie screamed, shattering into smoke. Silence fell. The temple was in ruins, but the 4 of us still stood. Alive, together. I collapsed to the ground, shaking. I can't believe that worked. Zhou Yun knelt beside me, brushing dust from my hair. I told you I'd protect you. Shin crouched on my other side, smirking despite his bloodied lip. Don't forget who saved you first. Chun Rui sat directly in front of me, tears shining. We all did it. Together. I looked at them, my ridiculous trio of rivals turned allies, and something in me snapped. Not fear. Not panic. Just surrender. I can't choose because I want all of you, I admitted softly. Their eyes widened, but none of them pulled away. Instead, Zhou Yun leaned in and kissed me. Fierce, desperate. When he pulled back, Shin Qing immediately stole his place, pressing his lips to mine with a wicked grin. And before I could recover, Chun Rui shyly brushed a kiss against my cheek, whispering, I love you too. My face burned. My heart soared. And for once, I didn't scream, didn't push them away. I smiled, thinking to myself, this wasn't in the original plot. They laughed, holding me close as the dawn rose over the ruins. And for the first time, I thought, maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Chapter 15, Happily Ever Polly. Let me start by saying, this was never supposed to happen. When I wrote this novel, I planned a tragic arc for the stress relief. A few laughs, some silly antics, then a noble sacrifice in Chapter 10. That was it. No hero worshipping me, no villain trying to seduce me, no love interest bursting into tears because I smiled at someone else, and definitely no happily ever after polycule. Yet here I am, living it. Mornings are the strangest part. I woke up that day in a pile of limbs. Zhou Yun's arm was draped protectively over my waist. Shin Qing had one leg thrown across me like he was claiming territory. Chun Rui was curled into my chest, mumbling softly in his sleep. I tried to wiggle free. Big mistake. Where do you think you're going? Shin Qing's voice was a lazy purr against my ear. I just need some air, I stammered. Zhou Yun tightened his grip. No. Stay. Chun Rui, half asleep, whimpered. Don't leave Li Wei. And that was that. Trapped, smothered, by 3 ridiculously attractive men. Shin Qing chuckled. Zhou Yun kissed the back of my neck. Chun Rui snuggled closer. I gave up and closed my eyes again. Honestly, it wasn't the worst way to start a morning. Breakfast was another battlefield. Zhou Yun insisted on cooking. His kanji was perfectly balanced, nutritious, and boring. Shin Qing rolled his eyes and produced a tray of spicy dumplings. Real men eat fire. Chun Rui shyly presented a plate of sweet buns shaped like little rabbits. I made these for Li Wei. They all shoved their dishes toward me expectantly. I stared at the mountain of food. What am I, a royal taste tester? Eat mine first, Zhou Yun said firmly. No, mine, Shin Qing smirked, dangling a dumpling near my mouth. Chun Rui nearly burst into tears. But I stayed up all night making the buns. In the end, I ate all of it. By the time I finished, I thought I might explode. This wasn't in the original plot, I groaned, flopping onto the table. The 3 of them just looked unbearably pleased. The rest of the day was peaceful. Strange, but peaceful. We walked through the village market together. Zhou Yun carried the heavy bags without complaint. Shin Qing casually threatened a merchant into lowering his prices. Chun Rui tugged me toward a stall selling hairpins and shyly tucked one into my hair. I caught our reflection in a shop window, me in the center, 3 men orbiting like moons around me, and almost laughed. If anyone had told me a year ago that I'd be living inside my own novel, surrounded by this much affection, I'd have called them insane. And yet, it felt right. That night, back at the inn, the cuddling pile returned. I protested, of course. Guys, 1 bed isn't enough. Then sleep on top of me? Zhou Yun said seriously. I like that idea, Shin Qing drawled. Chun Rui turned bright red. I wouldn't mind either. I buried my face in my hands. They pulled me down anyway, and soon I was smothered in warmth, kisses brushing my hair, cheeks, lips. For once, I didn't fight it. I just embraced it, breathless, and let myself sink into the chaos. Because maybe the original plot was trash. Maybe this ridiculous, overwhelming, wonderful mess was the story I actually wanted. And I was finally ready to admit it. So yes, the fool survived. He didn't just survive, he got the hero, the villain, and the love interest. Honestly, best rewrite ever.